I ever publish this, anyone ever watches it. It's January 19th, 2022, or so they say. And I just thought I would talk about how I got here. Well, how did I get here? Well, it started on August 19th, 1961, when I was born to a mom who already had 2 kids, was in an unhappy marriage, didn't want another kid, and I was the first unwanted. I had a younger sister who overdosed on pharmaceuticals in her 40s, so she's no longer with us. But anyway, so that's how it started. I almost died in the hospital for some unknown reason. And in a panic of trying to save me, they injected me with penicillin, which gave me another close call to death, according to my mom. And so I was in the hospital for a few days after I was born. And then when my mom got me home, my sister, who's almost 6 years older than me, and I'm pretty sure she's a sociopath, is not a psychopath, she tried to smother me with a pillow. And so there it was, 3 times, right off the bat. So just that right there, you would think, well, I'm meant to be here for a reason if my life was spared. Those 3 times right off the bat like that. And then, so my older sister hated me because she was really jealous because my mom had a lot of guilt, because another thing that happened was I had this birthmark on my leg that kind of looked like a strawberry, and the nurse told my mother that there's one like that on my brain too, and it was because my mother smoked cigarettes, and that I was going to be mentally retarded. So my mom felt really guilty, and probably because she didn't want me either, and would have had an abortion had it been legal. So she gave me a lot of extra attention, and that made my older sister hate me even more. So I grew up with my older sister always verbally abusing me, constantly, feeding me the program that I ended up running unintentionally until I learned how to heal it when I was in my 50s. So I went for decades, trauma-based, mind control basically. And we all end up with that to a point, where we're programmed. We don't really know where it came from necessarily, but we have all these thoughts of we're not good enough, we're not this enough, we're not that enough. And so we let that limit us in life and everything. So by the age of 9, my older sister got me really high on weed, and I think she might have even dosed me with something else. But anyway, I was really tripping hard, and I called my mom at work. My parents ran a bar, and I was like, "Oh, Barbara made me smoke weed. My head's shaking this way, now it's shaking this way." And I was like, "I don't have time for that." Hung up. So that's kind of just an example of what kind of supervision I had growing up. So by the time I was 12 years old, I started taking these drugs that you could get on the street called Mandrex and Quaaludes. Quaaludes were the pharmaceuticals, and they're like taking Xanax and Molly together, basically, and having a couple of drinks, if any of y'all have done any of that stuff. So anyway, totally used that to escape reality and use whatever that drug. And when those went obsolete off the street, there was a pharmaceutical known as Somas, and pretty much got addicted to those. Mostly those, but I would take other things too sometimes, especially toward the end because I couldn't sleep. So I would take Xanax to help me sleep, and sometimes I would take Norcos and other types of codeine or hydrocodone to kind of like pep me up, kind of thing, and I was even taking Adderall sometimes to go on road trips. But mostly, I was addicted to somas. And I had periods, years at a time, where I would take 30 to 40 pills a day. So yeah, pretty amazing. And so I just kept self-medicating and not understanding, why I was miserable. Didn't even really, I don't know. When you're in it, you're in it. You don't really even know where you're at. You're just in that pit. I knew that I wasn't happy. And so, spent a lot of time partying and just whatever I could do to try to escape myself. I thought I was trying to escape reality, but I was trying to escape myself, and you can't do that. You're always there. So, yeah, just spent years and years doing that, and this was through relationships. I moved out from my parents' house when I was 15 for obvious reasons. And I moved in with my high school boyfriend, who I was later forced to marry by a church that we joined, kind of a fundamentalist Christian cult. And I split up with him when I was 22 and got with my second husband, who I was with for 18 years. And he got a PhD in theoretical chemical physics, and I got a degree in geology and started teaching, taught high school and community college. And he hooked up with one of my community college students and left me for her. And so then I ended up on my own in 2002, and I went to Austin. I was living in the Dallas area with my husband then, and I went back to Austin. I always really liked Austin the best. That's where I went to college, at University of Texas, Austin. And I went there and bought a house and partied like a rock star. And then I just came to a point, everything was just going too fast, even for me. Got a DUI, got it worked out, no big deal. I had to spend a couple of weekends in jail and pay a little money. And then I was just like, I need to get out of Austin. So I decided to move, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna move, I might as well move. So I moved to Prague. My parents were Czech immigrants, so I was like, I'll go back to my home country. So I moved to Prague in 2005, at the end of 2005, and stayed there till mid-2009, came back to Texas, to Austin because of the financial crisis at that time, the economic crisis. So I was a conference producer for the pharmaceutical industry most of the time while I lived in Prague, and got to travel to a lot of the hubs in Europe. And I would never work for that industry now or teach school, but that was another life. So moved back to Austin in 2009, and then hooked up with an ex, moved in with him, and that's a whole nother story. Probably wouldn't even believe it. So anyway, ended up there at the beginning when I got back, and ended up in that same place right before I moved back to Europe, which was in 2018. I moved to Spain. So when I moved back to Austin from Prague, I didn't want to go back into the classroom. I was kind of done with education. I even bartended for a while, but mostly I did peripheral education work and ended up being a city director for a robotics camp for kids. It was after school programs and summer camps. And then I started waking up in this period, probably around 2012, 2013. I started realizing I needed to change my diet and just raised my voltage in general, changed my vibration. I wasn't at a good level, and so I started waking up and exploring a lot of things on YouTube. And by 2016, I'd found this emotional healing modality, language lessons of the heart, and I did the work, and I healed my emotional body, and I didn't even know there was such a thing, and that I needed to do it, but I did it, and it made all the difference. I suggest everyone do their shadow work with one modality or another. So yeah, and then also by the end of 2016, I decided I wasn't going to pay taxes any longer to the evil government. I woke up enough about that, and so I quit my job. And early 2017, I fell into a way to get certified in Biofield Tuning, and I made 3 trips up to Vermont and got certified to be a Biofield Tuning practitioner, which is a really cool modality that also can help you heal your emotional body as well as physical body, as well as vibrational body, as well as energetic body. So that was cool, and because I did that and I scaled my lifestyle down, when I moved to Prague, I went from, 2-story house full of stuff to 2 suitcases, and I never really scaled back up much. And when I moved out of Austin the second time, the stuff I did have, I gave away and sold, had a garage sale, whatever. I'm not attached to things, so that's not a big deal. So I've been able to make it with my Biofield Tuning. I'm listed on the website, biofieldtuning.com. I'm the only practitioner in Portugal, and there's very few in Europe, and so I get enough business through that. I'm now doing it on a donation basis as well to survive, and again, I don't need a lot, mostly my dogs, to feed them, and I make their dog food. So, but yeah, and so here I am now. I moved to Spain in 2018. In August of 2021, I moved here to Portugal, and now I'm just down the road from that mountain over there. That's Monchique, where you get some of the best drinking water in Europe. And I live in the house down here, and I just get to hang out here every day on these mountain trails and do art projects. And I'm looking to start a fruit forest, so hopefully I'll be doing a lot of that work soon. And just doing some tunings here and there. I'm starting to get more local clients because this area caters to that kind of stuff more than where I was in Spain. And so yeah, here I am after all that. And now I don't do any drugs at all, well, except cannabis. And some people wouldn't call that a drug. And I'm actually happy, which I didn't even think that was possible. I especially didn't think it was possible without being inebriated in some way. So I'm really happy I discovered that. And yeah, life is awesome, and I'm just looking forward to what comes next. I'm just a dog hanging my head out the window, seeing where we're going next, and this great, great ride, and this amazing time to be alive. And I definitely feel like I'm here for a reason. I didn't even go through my other near-death experiences. There are at least 3 that I could think of right off the top of my head throughout my life. So, not that I had the DMT moment or anything with that, or saw the white light. It's just that I had 3 incidents where I could have died. Actually 4. Again, I can think of off the top of my head. So the doctors, the experts were like, "Oh, you were this close from dying." Da da da. So, yeah. So here I am in 2022, just waiting to see what happens next, and excited, and thinking about what I want, because I know my thoughts manifest. It's happened to me over and over in life. That's how my husband went. I knew when I met him. I would always say, when you hit your midlife crisis, you're going to hook up with a younger woman and leave me. And no one ever would have believed it by his character. But it happened because I manifest it, saying it and thinking it all the time. So we have to be mindful of our thoughts, and especially our words. And on that note, Cosmo says, why wubba? Alright, ciao.